this turned off real quick. So, for our TikTok viewers, we are going to cover KTRA. This is a stock. Usually we cover just crypto, but this was a request from TikTok, so drop any comments anywhere, make requests, and we can cover little things for you like this. But over on the daily, we did try to get our break up. Sorry, my voice is a little messed up today. We did try to get our break up. We hit our EMA levels and we got rejected, pulling back below our channel. So we will delete this channel at this point as it tried to play out and we saw it get rejected. Our stochastic does want to pull back. We have our orange above blue. That is our double line on our market cipher B. Remember, we use market cipher B and market cipher A. Over on the market cipher B, our stochastic is starting to pull back. That orange is pushing down, causing RSI to weaken. As that RSI weakens, price action will weaken with it. If we do not make a bounce off this 300 EMA, then we could continue lower and we could continue to break down. Our RSI does want to pull back, leading that price action lower. So again, if we break this, we could see a drop here. Over on our VWAP, our yellow wave, we are starting to reject under that neutral. Our momentum, our blue wave, is pulling back as a result. And our money flow, that green wave, is going flat just above the bullish territory. But if that VWAP does start to break down, we will see that money flow break down with it. Oops, did not mean to go over to total yet. Over on the 4 hour here, we are overall breaking away. We did reject that 300 EMA, and ever since then, we keep rejecting other EMAs. If we cannot get back above our green EMA and hold and start to break other EMAs to the upside, it's very likely the bears will continue to drop us down. Our RSI is pulling back. The stochastic is pushing down. We do have that orange above the blue, so I would exercise caution. That could give us a bearish push to the downside here, causing RSI and price action to continue lower toward our 103 support. If we do not hold that 103 area, then remember we do have support at the 102, and we do have a very old gap right around like the 101. It'd be hard to find it, so here it is. A very low gap at the 101 area. So I would exercise caution over on the Dixie. But again, remember, because the Dixie is inversely related to crypto, that does mean we could see crypto snap forward finally. We did see a pretty decent move today. Sorry, I keep bouncing around, kind of hard to see the percentages. My mic's like right here. But RSI is pulling back. Now stochastic is pulling back, so the 4 hour is selling off. VWAP is in the bearish territory. We do have consistent lows, and we are starting to round to make a lower high. If we do make that lower high, we will see VWAP continue to drop us down, which will cause our momentum to continue lower, and the money flow will continue to break down with it. So over on the 2 hour, we are overall pushing away. We are struggling to hold any bullish momentum here. Our stochastic double line is pulling back, causing the red line, our RSI, to pull back with it, and weakening price. That VWAP, our yellow wave, does want to push up toward the neutral area of 0, but it is starting to round, so I would exercise caution. That round could set us up to get a lower high with this lower low that would then create a bearish trend or continue a bearish trend, pushing momentum even lower and breaking our money flow down. That would in turn weaken the 4 hour and the daily and cause them to break down as well. Over on the 1 hour, we have been bearish for quite some time. Our RSI is pulling back. Our VWAP is kind of iffy. You can't really see it right now. We'd have to zoom in. It did try to break bullish. We could make a lower high though, so I wouldn't get too excited until that VWAP gains some significant strength. Until then, our momentum could remain flat and the money flow could continue lower. So I would exercise caution. We do need that VWAP to run up if we're going to make a bounce here. But again, if you want crypto to bounce up, you don't want that to happen. Over on the total, but if you want KTRA, you do want the Dixie because that's stock market. But over on total, we are starting to push up. We do have that long upper shadow candle. I would watch. This was an attempt to get our bullish break. We did get that symmetrical triangle bullish break, so we will delete the symmetrical triangle that we made from last night. This could be positive, but now, as we are getting trapped in this flag, it does still leave us with the possibility to push lower and break toward our golden pocket. So we're not quite out of the woods yet. VWAP is in the bearish territory. Momentum does want to pull back, and that money flow could break down if that VWAP does not gain a bullish momentum here. Over on the 4-hour, we did make it bounce off our support level. Sorry, black line confused me. Our 300 EMA is down here. Our support level of 674, we did continue forward, but we're starting to make a rounding top, so I would exercise caution. Here we're not in our pattern yet, so ideally we would follow this with a strong green candle, and that strong green candle would set us up to continue forward, as this would give us our retest and then a bounce forward. Stochastic does want to pull back, VWAP is starting to round away, momentum is weakening due to the VWAP weakening, and that money flow does want to pull back, but if our VWAP can make a higher low, momentum will remain bullish, and the money flow will gain some strength. Over on the 2-hour here, we do have a bit of a long lower shadow candle, so this long lower shadow candle could attempt to push us forward, but if followed by a strong red candle, it will end up breaking us lower. Our stochastic is pulling back, RSI is starting to round away, the momentum does want to pull back with it, and that VWAP is in the bearish territory. As that VWAP favors more bearish, our money flow could end up breaking down. Over on the 1-hour here, we could be making a symmetrical, can't get the words out, symmetrical triangle after our symmetrical triangle, so I would exercise caution because that would have another chance to break us lower, but it also has a chance to break us up. As this triangle isn't really coming from any kind of consolidation, it does just have the 50-50 possibility. We can duplicate this, Control C, Control V, and then grab it and then move it down. So this could run us up to about 682. If we do end up breaking to the downside though and breaking that support level, pulling back into our flag, then this could lead us below that support area of our 674. Our RSI does want to pull back, stochastic is starting to push down, VWAP is bearish, and the momentum and money flow do want to weaken as well. So if we see this VWAP remain bearish here, we could see a slip into the bearish territory and get the breakdown. However, if that VWAP can get a higher low with a higher high, we will see momentum push up, and then we will be able to run forward. So watch the next couple candles close. We do need some bullish momentum soon. Over on Bitcoin dominance, we do have a little bit of a gap to the downside. There we go. There's our fixed range volume profile. So we do have a little bit of a gap to the downside that we could still end up filling, but we are pushing up with green candles. RSI does want to push up. Stochastic's trying to run up. VWAP is starting to favor bullish. Momentum's pushing up, and the money flow is bullish as well. So as long as this VWAP can maintain bullish momentum, we could see dominance increase. Remember, that would just be representative of Bitcoin pushing higher than the rest of the market. That doesn't mean that total has to pull back. We could see Bitcoin gain 10K and then total gain like 9K or 1% or like 0.9% respectively. So it's just representative of Bitcoin going up against the rest of the market. Stochastic does want to pull back. Our momentum does want to round away. RSI is pulling back here on the 4-hour. VWAP does want to round, and the money flow is bearish, so I would exercise caution. If that yellow wave, our VWAP, does continue to break down, our blue wave, our momentum, will continue to break, pushing the money flow from trying to break green to into the red, which would be a bearish cross. Over on our 2-hour, we are trying to bounce off this EMA, but we're currently breaking it with a long upper shadow. I would exercise caution because that could show that the bulls tried to push us up, but the bears are starting to gain control, and if we hold under this EMA, we could see dominance break down. Remember, as this representative of Bitcoin's gain over the rest of the market, we could see Bitcoin go up 1%, the rest of the market go up 2%, dominance would still weaken. Stochastic does want to pull back, momentum's rounding, VWAP is bearish, causing our money flow to pull back, so I would exercise caution here. Over on the 1-hour, if we zoom out, we could be making a double top, so I would exercise caution here. So you have this rise, a drop, a rise, and then you would have a drop to about here. And if we cannot hold that, that would be a pretty significant drop. Our neckline would be right about there. If I can zoom here, so then you would grab your pole to your neckline, and that could give us a pretty good break to about 53%, which it doesn't look like we've been to for quite some time. If we zoom out to the daily, we were right around here back in March, so it's been a couple of months. So back to the 1-hour though, it could end up pushing us lower if we do not continue with green candles and push above in our fixed range volume profile. Momentum does want to pull back, stochastic is favoring bearish, causing RSI to drop, and the VWAP does want to continue lower. If our VWAP does not gain some strength, then our money flow likely will break down with price and continue to give us some bearish momentum, weakening those higher time frames and potentially making us break that 300 EMA. Let me take a drink real quick. Trying to wear my water, obviously, but over on Bitcoin futures for the daily, we did push up to the top of our triangle, but we're kind of stalling. So watch if we can continue above our 69K, now that we have broken it and we are trying to hold. If we can continue here, getting a green candle and pushing forward, then it's likely we could still see that 76K breakup. However, if we start continuing bearish momentum, then it's likely we will break support and push down to our 65K support. Our RSI does want to round, momentum is rounding that blue wave. As that blue wave weakens, our money flow will continue to pull back, so watch that money flow and the VWAP on the lower time frames here. Our VWAP is indecisive on the daily, but over on the 4 hour, our VWAP is starting to break into the bearish territory as we tried to break out early, and now we are pulling back, so I would exercise caution here. We do have this long lower shadow though, and it is followed by a long upper shadow, so this does show that the bears were getting exhausted, but then they stepped in and pushed us down anyway. If we continue with red candles, we could see a slide down here again, and that could push us down toward the bottom of our triangle, giving us the possibility to see our breakdown rather than the break up. Our momentum does want to round away with that red dot, as our VWAP, our yellow wave, is pulling back. If our blue wave, our momentum, continues to pull back, our money flow will break down, causing price action to push lower. So over on the 2 hour here, we are continuing the slide down. Stochastic is starting to round. We do have that orange line above blue that is giving us that bearish strength, but the blue is starting to curl up. If we can see a cross here, we may be able to bounce off our blue EMA and then continue forward, possibly breaking the green EMA. If we can break this green EMA and hold above it, then we could continue to see our EMA bands split apart and gain further bullish momentum. Our momentum does want to round away. We do have bearish divergence. I would watch that close. VWAP does want to break down as well. Money flow is kind of stalling as that VWAP isn't pushing down very strong. So watch if the VWAP gains more strength. If it continues to push down more aggressively, we could get consistent lows and continue to break. However, if we manage to break through that neutral and push up on the 1 hour, we could start to gain some bullish momentum here. Over on the 1 hour, our green EMA is getting close to our blue EMA. Watch if they cross, we could end up continuing lower. Stochastic is pretty beat down. If it does not push forward soon, RSI will start to weaken, which will lead price action lower. Our VWAP is getting lower lows with lower highs, so we do have a little bit of a bearish trend here, which is causing that momentum to push down, and if that VWAP does not recover soon, our money flow will round away, and then we will start to weaken those higher time frames, and as futures does lead Bitcoin, we would likely see Bitcoin break down as well to the same level, so that's why it's important to watch both. Over on Bitcoin for the daily, we do have a long upper shadow, so I would exercise caution. If we close like this and follow it with a strong red candle, we could see a rejection and see our bear flag play out. RSI is going flat, momentum does want to pull back, the VWAP does want to break through that neutral, but if the lower time frames weaken and futures breaks down, we likely would reject away from here as well. Over on the 4 hour, we got the same attempt to break up, and then we tried to show bears had no control, and currently they're gaining control with the long upper shadow. If this long upper shadow is followed by a strong red candle, it's likely we will push down to the bottom of our flag, possibly seeing our breakdown. However, if we can bounce, making a rounding bottom and getting a bullish engulfing candle that would be up to this like 69.6 level, then we could continue forward. But if we reject away from this top of the flag, it's likely we will see it play out. Stochastic does want to round away, momentum is starting to push down with a double red dot, and the VWAP does want to break down, which is causing that double red dot. If the VWAP continues lower and our momentum continues to break down, our money flow will break bearish as well, and we will see the daily breakdown if the 4 hour continues to favor bearish. Over on the 2 hour, our momentum is rounding away. Stochastic, our double line, is starting to get that bearish cross and push down. Our RSI is continuing lower, and the VWAP does have lower highs with lower lows, which is causing momentum and money flow to weaken, that green wave. So as those weaken, we could continue lower here. Over on the 1 hour, we are rejecting our green EMA, but we don't want to break our blue EMA. So if we can solidify a bounce off our blue EMA, then it's likely we could continue forward. Momentum does want to round away here. Our VWAP is in the bearish territory, RSI is pulling back, and the money flow does want to break down. So I would exercise caution. If that VWAP continues to push down and our money flow breaks down with momentum, we likely will see the higher time frames push away, and we could gain bearish momentum from here. Over on graph for the daily, we did try to push up, but we're not really going anywhere. We also tried to break the red EMA, but we're holding. This could be a sign that we may not get our full breakdown, but the rest of the market does have the chance to round away, which would give us the bearish momentum needed. Over on this daily, our RSI is pulling back, VWAP's in the bearish territory, momentum does want to break down, and the money flow is favoring bearish, so I would exercise caution. Over on the 4 hour, we are rejecting our 300 EMA here. We are making a bit of a rounding top. This could be like a shoulder, a head, just slightly, and then if we push up and then reject around this like 29.9, then we could make another shoulder, which would push us down with a shoulder, head, and shoulder. Our stochastic does want to round away, RSI wants to pull back, VWAP is starting to break down, it wants to break through that neutral. If it continues to push lower, momentum will solidify this round and cause money flow to break down. Over on the 2 hour, we did reject our yellow EMA, we tried to run up to it, and we are selling off, breaking our EMA band. If we continue to push down here, our other higher EMAs will start to fall below our 300 EMA, giving the bears more control. Stochastic does want to pull back. We do have that orange above the blue, which is that bearish cross, causing RSI to bring price action lower. Our momentum does want to round away, and the VWAP is breaking down, causing momentum and money flow to break down, which is in turn showing we have bearish momentum, meaning people are selling more than they're buying. Over on the 1 hour, we are overall continuing away. RSI wants to pull back, stochastic is starting to push down, our VWAP is in the bearish territory, and the momentum wants to break down as well. So if our VWAP does not break through the neutral here, we're likely going to continue lower, pushing down to the purple EMA on that higher time frame on the daily, which would be a break toward around that 27.55. If we do not hold at that EMA, we could end up continuing lower to our other EMA levels, like our 25.627, around our 24.109, and our 300 at 23.198. I would watch if we break all those EMAs, then it could end up breaking us even lower. Over on Ankr for the daily, we'll zoom in here. We do have several bearish patterns that are starting to break us away. Let me fix this Fibonacci or fixed range volume profile real quick. So go into settings here, and you can turn off this values and then hit OK. And now we will not see all those numbers everywhere. Now, we do have this long upper shadow candle. We tried to push up to our EMA, trying to invalidate our bearish breakdowns, but the bears did end up gaining control. So we can jump to the 1 hour just to see how that played out. So we did have this double top. We did invalidate it, so we will delete this. It's no longer relevant. We did try to get our run forward. We hit that 300 EMA, and then we rejected that 300 EMA, which pushed us back down toward our 42, which pushed us into our bear flag, and now we are starting to see our bear flag break down technically, but due to this run up, I wouldn't really call it a breakdown. We did make an attempt to see the bear flag breakdown, because in my opinion, the bear flag got invalidated. But you could say it is still a valid pattern if you want. Remember, TA is an art form. Everyone looks at things a little different. Do what works for you. Find your own strategy within what we're teaching. We did try to push up to our gap. We did not fill that gap. We ended up breaking our support level. RSI does want to pull back. Stochastic is favoring bearish. The VWAP does want to round away. Momentum is favoring bearish, and the money flow is breaking down. So the daily doesn't look very positive. I would watch for if we can gain momentum on the lower time frames here. Over on the 4 hour, stochastic is pushing down. VWAP is breaking down. We could draw a parallel channel here if you wanted. A parallel channel would give us a new bear flag to end up breaking us lower, so that would not be too good, but it would end up having a very similar breakdown target. If I can grab that pull, then you would apply your pull to the bottom here, and that would give us the break of our 40.49. Momentum does want to round away. VWAP is breaking down, and the money flow is selling off, so overall I would exercise some caution still. Over on this 2 hour, we did break that resistance area, and we are continuing lower. Momentum does want to break into our bearish territory as VWAP favors bearish, which is causing money flow to be stagnant. Stochastic and RSI are pulling back, so overall, if we do not get a push from here, it's very likely we could end up breaking down soon. Over on the 1 hour, we are just right on top of our support level. Stochastic does want to push down, it's pretty beat down. RSI is following, causing our price action to drop away. Momentum does want to push away. The VWAP is favoring bearish. It did not break through the neutral and is kind of struggling. If our VWAP makes a rejection, momentum will remain bearish, money flow will break down, and the higher time frames will break away. However, if our VWAP can get a higher high, we could have a chance to make a bullish trend and see a run forward still. Remember, usually these flags play out after 3 touches. We did draw that on the 4 hour. So if you look at the 4 hour, we're only on our second touch. So we could attempt to push up to the top and then invalidate this still, providing our total continues forward. So real quick, gonna take another drink, but you do see our descending channel on XRP did break us up, so that is a little positive if you're in XRP. So now that that breakup happened, we are going to delete this. Just make things a little clearer to see. So we did push on our value area low, that green line, for our fixed range volume profile, and we are struggling to break it. We need continued green candles to break us forward if the bulls are going to run up. RSI is pretty flat, stochastic is overall pushing down, momentum is in the bearish territory. VWAP does want to break that neutral, but we're struggling, so if the lower time frames continue to favor bearish, our money flow will start to pull back, and we could end up seeing a breakdown. Over on the 4 hour here, we are starting to make a rounding top. Exercise caution, we did have that long lower shadow that wanted to push us up, but now we have an indecision candle that could end up breaking us lower if followed by a strong red candle. Our stochastic does want to round away, RSI is pulling back, our VWAP is starting to push down after getting a bullish run, causing momentum to start to round away, and our money flow could end up pushing down with them if we're not careful. Over on this 2 hour, we did try to run up to our red EMA and we got rejected. If we continue to break our EMAs to the downside here, we could end up snapping back down and pushing down toward our 50 cent area, possibly seeing those lower price targets. Stochastic is pretty flat, RSI wants to round away, momentum is starting to taper off after favoring bullish, and the VWAP does want to break down, but is struggling. We did try to make a lower low, but we are making a bounce. So if our VWAP can start a new bullish trend here, momentum would remain bullish, money flow would push up. However, if our VWAP confirms this lower high, then breaks for a lower low, momentum will start to pull back, and that money flow will gain further bearish momentum. Over on the 1 hour, we got very close to our 300 EMA, got rejected, so I would exercise caution. Remember, that's a very strong area to have a rejection from. Our RSI is pulling back, stochastic does want to round away. We do have our orange above blue, which is bringing RSI and price lower. Momentum does want to round. Our VWAP did try to favor bullish, but we're currently pulling back. If that VWAP confirms the lower low, then cannot break through our neutral, we will see momentum round away, weakening money flow and in turn weakening the higher time frames. We do have a gap to the downside, right around this 51.7 zone. If we cannot make a bounce after pushing down, then it's very likely that's where we would see those lower price targets. However, if we do pull down to this zone and we make a bounce and continue forward, we would want to see a break and hold of our 300 EMA. Otherwise, the bears would still have control over us as we're struggling to break that EMA level. Over on ALGO for the daily, remember, stay tuned, we're going to have a stock after this. We do have a long upper shadow. This long upper shadow does want to push us lower. Stochastic is starting to break down. RSI is pushing down. VWAP is breaking into the bearish territory, and the money flow is favoring bearish as well. So overall, the bears do have quite a bit of control. Over on the 4-hour here, we are rejecting our EMAs, so I would exercise caution. Stochastic does want to push away. RSI is rounding away. That VWAP is starting to break down. Momentum's rounding with a red dot. So if that VWAP does break through the neutral, our money flow will follow, and we will start to weaken that daily. Over on the 2-hour here, we did hit our 300 EMA several times, and we did get rejected. Stochastic is starting to pull back. RSI is pushing down. Our VWAP is gaining strong bearish momentum as we're trying to push down very quick, and our money flow does want to weaken. We do have a bit of a rounding top going on. That could end up pushing us down to around this 1824, and if we do not meet support there, then that's likely where we could continue to our 1618 level. So over on the 1-hour, we are starting to break down. RSI is pulling back, Stochastic's pushing down. VWAP is in the bearish territory, momentum is pushing down, and the money flow wants to reject. So overall, we do want to continue lower. I would exercise caution. If that VWAP does not reverse, our higher time frames will start to break down and weaken the daily. So last but not least, this is Ankr Therapeutics. So anyone that's into like cancer treatment and stuff like that, that's what these guys are specializing in. This does look, just want to zoom out to see how new this is. So this is a very new stock. So I would exercise a lot of caution, because when you get new stocks, you do get these bubbles like this, which can end up breaking you down. But if this company does have a strong balance sheet, and you do the proper financial analysis as well as technical analysis, then you may have something that could win. Just exercise caution, as this is a penny stock, and penny stocks can be risky. But our momentum is rounding away. Stochastic does want to push down. We do have a double red dot, which does want to break that momentum lower. RSI is breaking down that red line, so as our double line, our Stochastic, and our red line, our RSI pull back, price action could continue lower. We are filling a gapped area. We did gap up, gap down, then we had a gap here, so we had several gaps. We do have 2 more to the downside, so if we cannot gain momentum here, it's very likely we would push down to those gapped areas. We also have one down here at 1079, 1066, so 1771 and 1964. So those are our next 3 gaps. We have several gaps on here. As it's a penny stock, it can be very volatile. But momentum is rounding, RSI is pushing down, VWAP does want to break down, and the money flow is starting to weaken. So overall, I would exercise caution and watch these lower time frames. This 4-hour, as you use this path tool, could be making a double top where you get this rise, a drop, a rise, and then another drop, which can end up breaking you lower. You have your neckline from here to here. If I can draw straight, then you measure from the top to your neckline, apply that to the neckline down, and that could give us a breakdown to around 1157, which is real close to that gapped area. So our momentum does want to round away. Stochastic and RSI are pushing down. As they push down, price action can continue lower. Our VWAP, our yellow wave, is continuing lower, causing that blue wave, our momentum, to pull back, and our money flow is still deep in the red, which could end up breaking us lower. So I would exercise caution here. Over on the 2-hour, we are starting to slide away. We have a bit of consolidation. Consolidation after a rise up, or a breakdown, sorry. The consolidation after a breakdown can create a bear flag, so I would exercise caution, as that bear flag would end up pushing you lower, and that would also give us 2 patterns that want to break us lower. That could push us down to around 25 cents. RSI does want to weaken, momentum is rounding away, our VWAP is breaking down, we do have lower highs with lower lows, causing momentum to pull back, and the money flow is deep in the bearish territory. If you look, this money flow has been bearish for quite some time, despite us running up. So even some of the analysis we're doing doesn't really help much in these penny stocks, because they sometimes trade like meme coins, which are very volatile and can be unpredictable. So that's why you only want to invest what you can lose and stuff like these. But momentum is pushing down, VWAP is in the bearish territory, our money flow is starting to break bearish as well, so if this VWAP, or yellow wave, continues to favor bearish, our money flow will go from being green to deeper in the red, and we will see the higher time frame start to weaken. That will give us a chance to break our neckline, and if we break that neckline, we could end up continuing lower. So overall, I would exercise caution. It does look like we could have some more sell-off to continue. as the Dixie does want to sell off too. That is pretty in line. Thank you for watching tonight's video.